All right, greetings. Welcome in. Bettor's Last Stand here, coming to you from the Pine Room Studios, downtown Wheeling. It feels like spring out there today. It's been a mild stretch here in Wheeling. A little bit of rain in the forecast, but otherwise pretty nice for a late December day here. As we hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and hope everyone has a safe and happy New Year as we head into the main meat of the bowl game season. We've been scratching out a few games here and there. The games are starting to get a little bit better, a little more exciting, and we'll be excited to talk about what we got on the docket for this week. Again, hope you had a safe and Merry Christmas, and we wish everybody happy holidays going forward. If you listened to us on the radio, 12 to 5 last Friday, our Watchdog Christmas party, the Pine Room Christmas special, that pretty much was for 5 hours of action. We had a really good time on there. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Again, if you didn't see it or didn't listen to it, I guess you didn't see it, regardless if you tuned in or not. But be checking. I'm sure Jub will put it out in installments at some point. Again, 5 hours of content there, as he's been doing radio rewinds for quite a while now. So be sure and check those out. We have really cool follow-ups with all those radio rewinds, and you can find them at the Pine Room Studios on YouTube or Spotify or any of the other places that you get your podcasts each week. And reminder, we have our regular podcast that usually comes out on Thursday. Bettor's Last Stand, of course, on Fridays. We got various soup and stuffs up there as well. Special features, all kinds of stuff happening. But again, the Watchdog Christmas party was awesome. We enjoyed our time here with all the Watchdog teammates, and it was quite fun. Thanks to Rocky, who got us a couple of really cool games that we're going to use in one of our upcoming shows. We're also so be on the lookout for those. We got the show where we're going to be playing games, which is pretty cool. And then we're also going to be doing the briefing room here after the first of the year, as well as Lunch Madness on the radio. So stay tuned for all that stuff that's coming to the Pine Room Studios in a very near future here. Yesterday, Boxing Day, we had EPL games all day long. I'm not sure how many people watched those, but unfortunately, I was at work most of the day, so I didn't get to see as much of it as I wanted to, but good action there. And we got 71 days until AFL, Aussie Rules football, is back cranked up, so I'm pretty excited about that. But, until then, we'll have to get ourselves through with good old American football, basketball, hockey, all that kind of stuff. We have college basketball be heating up here in the coming months, and soccer, Champions League, EPL also in full force. Bowl games today, we got several on the docket, so as we tape the show, we're getting ready to kick off a few games here, which is highlighted by, I guess, would be the Mountaineer game. Mountaineers play 5:30, so we'll see what happens there. Mountaineers were one of my key picks last week, as well as Virginia Tech. Also had Louisville in under in that game, and those were our big plays. Oklahoma State obviously getting a lot of play as well. Overall, last week we were up we were up almost 10 units. Not quite almost 10, but over 9 units. We'll call it that. Up over 9 units entering Tuesday night's action this week, which we had, I believe, we went 2-1 with our picks on Tuesday, taping the show on Wednesday. Bowling Green did not get there. They did not play very well, despite having an early lead. Texas State we did have, and in the nightcap we had Kansas. Now, depending on what you got the number, you might have got a push out of that, but hopefully you bet it early back when we gave it out several weeks ago on the show. Both Coach and I were on the Jayhawks, and so hopefully you got a good number there. Again, up 909 last week. We're up over 16 units over the last 4 weeks, 1679 to be exact. We were 17-10-1 in our college football futures, as we talked about a few times. That's up 6 units. NFL futures have not been very good. 7-12 overall there. I'm 4-1 somehow. Don't ask me how. Coach 3-4, and Chris, it's almost impossible for someone to have done this, and this is just, it shows you how unlucky this thing can be sometimes. Chris is 0-7, so he could easily be 7-0 with the reverse opinions, which is also impossible. You never be 7-0, but you can be 0-7. It's crazy. Sam up nearly 8 units last week. He was 4-1 with his Christmas Day NBA props. Hopefully you checked it out on social media. BLS_PRP. Sam red hot. And if Damian Lillard were to have come through, he needed a couple more assists. He fell just short. We would have had a really, really big day. I parlayed all those. I actually round robined them, so I hit 4 out of 5, which turned out to be a pretty nice payout. But if I would have hit all of them together, it would have been a very lucrative payout. Coach was 2-2 in bowl games last week. He had the pending Texas State and Kansas, which were 2 winners, so that makes him 4-2 on the week. Chris had no plays. I was up about 150, about 1.5 units last week. Want to know my best bets, and I had those 2 winners the other night in bowl games. Best bets on the season now: 16-9 for me, 6-15 for Coach, 11-6-1 for Chris. I'm trying to think what my NFL. Oh, Steelers, yeah, Steelers NFL best bet. Cigar smoker, right there. I had a feeling that was going to happen in the NFL. Teams who are not the very, very, very worst, which I guess you could say would be about maybe Carolina and maybe just them this year. Everybody else, all the bad teams are kind of pretty even. So for a bad team like the Steelers to win or to lose 4 in a row against a bad team like the Bengals, who were to have won 4 in a row, that's really, really improbable, I guess. I don't think improbable is even a word. Improbable. So I figured I like the Steelers in the spot anyway. Last home game of the season, they're getting a lot of criticism in the media. Mason Rudolph's making a start, who I think is probably their best quarterback. He was the 3rd stringer. It shows you how well they evaluated the talent there. He probably should have been starting all season. I'm not saying he's good, but he's better than the other 2 guys. But it was like a perfect storm of things. There was like 4 different angles that I really like for the Steelers. And the Bengals, come on. I've been down on the Bengals all year. I think the Bengals stink. I mean, they got a little bit of a spark when Browning was there because they simplified things and they didn't make it all fall on the quarterback because Browning's just a regular guy. They think Burrow's good, but he's really not. And then you got Jamar Chase out of the game, so I think that really hurt Cincinnati a lot. Cincinnati's just okay. Steelers weren't going to lose again. So perfect storm there. Best bet gets home, so we'll take it when we can. Jumping into the bowl games for next week, we have tomorrow's docket, which would be the day after we tape this. So these were games that we gave out last week. We had Arizona, I believe, is a pretty strong play for me. Thursday, the Miami game under, SMU game over, and the K-State game, NC State game under. So we'll see how those ones do. But concentrating on this week's bowl games, we go right to the action on Friday, getting you ready for some games that are getting down to the wire here as far as the big bowl games. We got the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl coming up on Friday. That'll be Clemson and Kentucky. Now, this game opened Clemson -8 and total 47.5. Right now, we're seeing it at, Clemson 5 and 46.5. So slight drop in the total, 3-point drop in the spread there. Now, I think Clemson actually has some guys out of action here. So when I was going through this, Clemson's without one of their top wide receivers, a starting safety, starting linebacker, starting corner, and starting defensive lineman. Kentucky just has their top edge rusher out. So Kentucky looks like they're actually caring about this game, which is kind of surprising to me. So Coach and I both liked Clemson early on here. I thought that with the opt-outs maybe would favor Kentucky. I thought maybe that they would have more opt-outs than Clemson. It turned out that they have not. So I had recommended Clemson -8. Now they're down to -5. I really don't know about this. I was leaning toward the under in the game, but I don't have a strong play. Coach still on Clemson there. I'll be leaning towards the under, but I don't love it there. It concerns me a little bit. I just don't know what teams are going to show up. It looks like Kentucky's going to take this pretty seriously, so no strong play in that one. Keeping it going on Friday as well. It'll be Notre Dame and Oregon State in action. That'll be in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl from El Paso. That's a 2 o'clock game on CBS. Coach all over Notre Dame in this game. I like the under in this contest. This game opened Notre Dame -10.5, the total 46.5. Right now we have Notre Dame down to 6, total 41.5. So you got Oregon State with some issues here. Oregon State's obviously DJ Uliungalele is out of the game. He's their starting quarterback who's now transferring, but they are without their starting tight end, starting linebacker, starting safety, their starting kicker, if that's even possible, a wide receiver, right tackle, and their running back, as well as their head coach. Notre Dame is without Sam Hartman, their starting quarterback, their starting running back, starting linebacker, 2 of their offensive linemen, and a starting cornerback. So what that all means to me is very clear. This is a flat-out underplay. Hopefully you can get it in before the thing continues to drop down. I gave it out at 46.5, and it's down to 41.5. So if you were listening to us on the Watchdog, we gave these early plays out. I was on that 46.5 for the under. Hopefully you got it in there at least before it fell down too far below 45. It's down to 41.5 now. I'd still probably take that. It gets a little bit worrisome, though, in a bowl game because you just don't know what people are going to be focused on. Coach on Notre Dame here. Don't love that angle. I think Notre Dame's vulnerable. But Oregon State, without their coach, Coach Smith, Jonathan Smith, I think that I just don't know what they're going to have in store or what kind of assistants are going to be there to be able to lead the team. But to me, this game means more to Oregon State than it does Notre Dame. Oregon State, a team basically without a conference. I mean, they have a scheduling alliance now in football with I believe it's the Mountain West, but they don't have a conference. They don't really have a conference, so they're going to be looking to prove that they belong, and a win over Notre Dame would be very beneficial to them. So I lean Oregon State a little bit in the game, but I like the under. Keeping it rolling here on a Friday afternoon. It'll be the AutoZone Liberty Bowl from Simmons Bank Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee. It'll be the Memphis Tigers, a home game for them against the Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State opened 6. Total 57.5. This game now 9.5 Iowa State. Total staying at 57.5 as far as opt-outs go. Memphis, 2 of their starting offensive linemen, the right guard or left tackle, will not play in this game. Iowa State's top 2 running backs are out of action. This is a tricky game here. Memphis, to me, has always been a team that kind of lacks motivation in games that aren't on the big stage. So while I would like to lean Iowa State here, and Matt Campbell had a pretty decent season. He got some decent covers and some big wins, although the Texas game did not go as well as I had hoped for. I'm a little bit more stock up on Iowa State than I had been, but I don't love this. This now has moved 3 points, so maybe there's some steam coming in on Iowa State. It seems like they are the pretty heavily bet side here. Total 57.5. I think maybe the over in this game could be decent. I think it's telling when the total doesn't move a whole lot. People don't know what to make of it. So, and when a total sticks, the number sticks quite a bit. I tend to play those games over because I feel like if people thought it wasn't an under game, it'd have a shot of exploding maybe in the second half. Again, Iowa State not a lucrative offense, not a really high-powered, potent offense. But hey, I think Iowa State is probably the side here, but I don't know if I love anything more than 9, so I'd be very careful. If I get to 10, there'd be a no play for me on that one. Slightly into the over for me in that contest. The nightcap on Friday will be the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas, Missouri, and Ohio State. Ohio State minus 6.5, total 51.5. This has been a weird one here. Ohio State now down to 1, the total 49. Missouri, this is the biggest game in the program's history right now as they look to knock off a powerful team here. They had a great year in the SEC, which is kind of surprising to them. They have no opt-outs in this game. Ohio State, without their quarterback, he's transferring. Without their top 3 wide receivers, it looks like. Now, some people are saying that some of these guys may play in this game, so keep an eye out for that. Obviously, if Marvin Harrison and these guys play, it makes Ohio State quite lively, and you're getting a much better number now. You're only having to lay 1 with them, but their tight end supposedly is not playing. Their starting corner supposedly not playing. So keep an eye out for that. I think Missouri's the motivated side here. I would play Missouri, but if those guys all play for Ohio State, the wide receivers and a couple of the other guys, a corner and a tight end, then it's like, well, you're getting Ohio State at a pretty good value there. You would have been able to get Missouri plus the 7, plus 6.5, which is what I bet them at way back when it came out. But if now, maybe a little bit of value on Ohio State. I'll be hopeful Missouri can pull it out, but we shall see. Moving on, Saturday's games, it'll be the Chick-fil-A Bowl, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Penn State and Ole Miss. This thing open, Penn State minus 3, total 48.5. We now see Penn State minus 4, the total staying at 48.5. So no move on the total here. Penn State is a team to me who they're going to be trying to cover in this game. I think they'll take some chances on offense a little bit more than they usually would. I think over 48.5 here is a pretty good play. I think you'll see some interesting things. James Franklin, for all his problems, he's been very, very bad in big games all season long, every single season. But in the bowl games, he has played very well when he's had weeks to prepare for teams. They've looked better on offense last year. I remember I believe last year against Utah, Rose Bowl, Penn State actually looked like a good offense for once. I think they'll put some points up here, and we know Ole Miss can score, and we know Ole Miss is not going to stop anybody. So I think over is a really good play here. I also lean Penn State. I think in this case, with time to prepare, I would give the coaching advantage to James Franklin. You don't say that a whole lot, but I think he'll be very motivated to win this game against an SEC team. So I'll be going Penn State and we're going to lean to the over there. Actually, more than a lean, I'm definitely probably going to play that. That seems like a strong play at the 48 and a half range. Opt-outs wise here, let's go. Let's see. What did I have in that game? I don't have it. For whatever reason, I didn't write those ones down. So anyway, do your homework on those. Check it out. Be sure you don't get caught with a big guy being out of the game. Moving along, it's the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl, Nissan Stadium, Nashville, where the Titans play Auburn -7. Total 46.5. This originally was Auburn -2, 48.5. But Tua's brother, Tagovailoa, whatever his first name is, Tala Tagovailoa. Anyway, the Maryland quarterback, he is not playing in this game. So major line move there when he decided he was opting out. Also, their starting tight end, linebacker, and cornerback out for the Terps. Auburn doesn't have anybody out of action here, so interesting move there. Kind of was leaning to Terps in this game, but maybe Auburn is the side here. I don't like what I've seen out of Mike Locksley's team. They're just very inconsistent, and I'm not sure that they'll have a whole lot of motivation for this game. Auburn, a team that, they had up and down seasons, some bad losses, played Alabama to the wire. If they're motivated, they'll be capable of hanging in this game, and I think that you're getting a little bit of a value play here as Auburn's now down to 2. So you had a 5-point move. They have no opt-outs, as I mentioned. So I think Auburn's the side there, and I lean towards the under in that one. Keeping it going, this is a game that a lot of people were interested in for many, many reasons, and not just because it's two power programs, or used to be power programs. One power program, one used to be. Georgia and Florida State doing battle. Capital One Orange Bowl, Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. Really weird that this game's at like 4 o'clock on Saturday, which is just weird to me. Orange Bowl should always be at night. But anyway, Georgia opened 14, total 45.5. It's now 14.5, 44.5. Stayed right around there. You just don't know the motivation. I feel like Kirby Smart does a good job getting his team ready for these types of games, even if they're not, the biggest stage. I think one of their linebackers opted out. Everybody else will be playing here. I think they'll take this pretty serious to show that they should have been in that playoff. Florida State, offensive tackle out, quarterback out. I believe the backup is out as well, the guy who was supposed to start in the ACC championship. The guy was hurt. He could not play. So they're down to the third string guy again. They originally said the second string guy would start in this game. It looks like third string guy will be. The running back is out. 2 starting wide receivers out. Starting tight end out. Defensive lineman out. Keep your eyes out. Florida State's got a lot of defectors here. They're taking their ball and going home after not making the playoff. But it's pretty simple. They were not one of the 4 best teams. The team that they're playing in this game should have been in ahead of them anyway. It doesn't matter about having one loss or whatever. That part doesn't make a difference, because the only way that matters is if you all played the same schedule, and that did not happen. So, in my opinion, if you're trying to take the 4 best teams in there, Georgia was well ahead of Florida State in any type of metric or rating system. It doesn't even really make a difference, and you can say all you want about on the field stuff, but unless you play the same schedule, it doesn't apply. Georgia had to play Alabama. Florida State never played anyone even close to that, and they played LSU. They beat LSU. Alabama massacred LSU. So to me, it's not even close. Florida State didn't belong in a playoff, so sorry for them. Play a better schedule, and then maybe you would have got in, and it doesn't help that your quarterback was hurt. So that broke any ties that you may have had. I'm on Georgia here. I think Georgia crushes them. Total's a little bit interesting to me. I don't know if Florida State's going to have any motivation in this game, but if they have a little bit, then this game probably will go over, because Georgia's defense, not quite what it once was. Their offense will be looking to go out with one last ass-kicking before some of these guys move on to the NFL. Keeping it going, it'll be also a Saturday afternoon game, CW for this one. Toledo and Wyoming. This is the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. Open Toledo -1.5. The total 45.5. And currently we have Toledo now +3.5 in the game, as Wyoming turns to be the favorite here, which is kind of interesting. So Toledo quarterback opts out. That's probably why. Their offensive lineman, one of their starting guards, is out. Wyoming's coach is retiring after this game. This is big for Wyoming. This is a guy who's put their program on the map, kind of made them pretty competitive. So I think Wyoming's going to be motivated in this game. I leaned Wyoming from the very beginning, and I'll be on Wyoming here as well. I bet them back when they were getting points. Now they're laying points. I'm still fine laying the points here with them. I think they'll be incredibly motivated. Toledo, to me, maybe a little bit of interest. Decent bowl game for them to travel to from Toledo this time of year, traveling out to Arizona. It's not the worst place to go, so maybe they'll be a little bit excited. But I like Toledo in the game. I like Wyoming in the game quite a bit in the Barstool Arizona Bowl, which is actually a pretty good bowl to watch because you get interesting commentary from the Barstool guys, which is much more entertaining than most of the time what you hear on a regular broadcast. That's for sure. And if you didn't watch the Nickelodeon CBS game, Chiefs and Raiders on Christmas Day, you really missed out there. That is far and away better than anything the CBS puts on their regular network. Noah Eagle, Nate Burleson. I actually liked it better when they let the kids do the full play-by-play, but those guys did very good. And they had Raphael from the Ninja Turtles and Donatello on there too. So it was much, 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 much better than listening to Jim Nantz and Tony Romo and any of those guys on CBS regular network. So I urge you, the Super Bowl is going to be on from Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob. So get ready for that. It's going to be awesome. So whoever makes it there, it's going to be a better broadcast on Nickelodeon than anything you're going to see on the regular TV. So that made my Christmas. I enjoyed that game quite a bit just because of that, although the game itself was quite horrible. But the Raiders get it done. And we'll talk plenty more NFL coming up here after the first break. All right, so here's what everybody's been waiting for. January 1st, the bowl games. They're finally here this weekend, Monday. Carrying around, wraparound weekend, however you want to look at it. So we got no bowl game Sunday with a full slate of NFL. Monday, though, we have 5 games, starting with Wisconsin and LSU. Interesting game here. It'll be the ReliaQuest Stadium. Oh no, I don't know what that means. ReliaQuest Bowl. I don't know why it said ReliaQuest Stadium on this thing. Anyway, guess who makes these anyway? ReliaQuest at Raymond James Stadium. ReliaQuest Bowl at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. I don't know if this used to be the Outback Bowl, maybe. I believe that's what it is. So anyway, we'll call it the Outback Bowl. It was LSU 10.5, total 55 in this game. It's now down to 9.5, total 55. I think LSU crushes Wisconsin here. I think Wisconsin is one of the worst teams in football. They got a lot of hype this year. I was not buying into it. And LSU has a proven backup quarterback. Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner, which I didn't agree with. But anyway, he was a great stat compiler. He will not play in this game, but that doesn't matter, because the guy they have backing him up has played a lot of games, and he is good. And I think LSU rolls Wisconsin in this game. Kind of like an under a little bit. I think even though as bad as LSU's defense is, Wisconsin's offense is one of the all-time worst, that their top wide receivers out of the game, which I don't even know if that even matters because they're so bad. Actually, their top 2 wide receivers, starting offensive lineman, linebacker, running back, center, corner, all out. Just LSU has the quarterback out. I think LSU has a huge advantage here. And if this thing's down the way I can't believe this thing fell. This is a really, really good spot for LSU here. I am very high on LSU in this game. I think they absolutely crush Wisconsin at the 12 p.m. kickoff there in the Outback Bowl. Iowa and Tennessee in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. This will be at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Iowa. Tennessee, as I said, Tennessee minus 7.5, total 36.5. Now it's up to Tennessee 8 and 36. So the total stayed kind of right where it needs to be, I guess. I kind of like the over just slightly here. I originally liked the under here, but I feel like a bowl game, I'm not sure what I was going to, have for this. I'm not sure if they're going to be super focused. They may have had time to prepare a little bit more on offense and maybe come together with something that's a little bit more innovative. Their top wide receivers out though. That could be trouble. I think he only caught 14 passes. So, boy, that's going to be tough to overcome, him being gone for that offense. But Tennessee, on the other hand, they are without their starting running back, one of their starting defensive ends, and 2 starting defensive backs. So to me, that says there's a chance for points to be had here. So I am going to lean to the over in this game. I know that's not a really good spot to be on, but I'm going to lean that way. And then maybe, just maybe, play Iowa catching the points. They may be able to keep it close. If Iowa can score, 20 in this game, I think they have a really good chance of winning, and I think the game will go over. So we'll see. I can see this game being like 24-20 Iowa or something like that. I know that seems high for an Iowa game, but I think there'll be a little bit more scoring in this game than you think with the time to prepare. Liberty and Oregon in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. It'll be Oregon minus 17 to total 67.5. Everybody on Oregon here, but I think the over is a good play. Coach gave this out way back. He likes the over in the game quite a bit. Oregon, I mean, if they're motivated for the game, they'll probably win the game, rather handily. But Liberty's going to have some pride here, so I think this could be interesting. But I think over is the way to go. I think Liberty will be able to get some backdoor scores here, maybe even have a shot at a backdoor cover. So I tread lightly there, and I definitely maybe an in-game bet there in that game. Watch it, see how the teams are playing, see who's focused, see who cares early on, and then make an assessment on that. And then the final two games are big boys here, the playoff games. Alabama and Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal, the first semifinal, 5 o'clock kick ESPN. This is at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. It'll be Michigan minus 1.5, which is right where it is right now. That's where it opened. Total 45, which is a 1.5 drop. So you had a 1.5 drop there. I'm on Alabama here. I think Alabama's a better team. Michigan, to me, just okay. Not a bad team by any means, but just not done. They lack that offensive explosiveness that I think is going to be necessary to win this game. Nick Saban with several weeks to prepare. I think Jalen Milroe has turned around to being a complete Heisman contender. He has really transformed his season and is playing outstanding football. I think they have an advantage in just about every spot on the field, and I think Alabama's going to be able to score some points here. I kind of lean to the over here. Think this game could be something like a 31-20 type game, Alabama. So I'll be on Bama, and I'll be on the over in the first game from Glendale. Although last year, if you remember, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I was looking at the game above. The Liberty-Oregon game, if you remember that game last year, when they had to put the college hash marks in, that was one of the playoff games at the Fiesta Bowl, and guys were slipping and falling all over the field. It ended up, the game went over. It was TCU and Michigan. It was a really high-scoring game, so maybe that's something to keep in mind there. It also backs up the play for the Oregon-Liberty game over. Anyway, back to the Pasadena game, Rose Bowl, which the turf will be immaculate and perfect, so you don't have to worry about that. But I think there'll be some points here. I think this will be kind of, I don't want to say a shootout, but I think both teams will be able to score a little bit. Alabama defense is good, but not great. And I think Michigan, even with some trickeration and some plays that maybe they can, score early in the game, get a couple touchdowns early, and then I expect Alabama to pull away eventually. So I still lean to the over in that game. And then the second semifinal game, 8:45 kick on ESPN, will be Texas and Washington. Texas opened -4. The total was originally 64. Texas still holds at -4. The total 63.5. And in my opinion, Washington's better than Texas. I've been on Washington for a long time now. Thought it was going to be a crime if they didn't make it into the playoff because they've played the most battle-tested amount of games this season Washington has played. I know they haven't looked impressive enough to people, but it doesn't matter. They're winning the games. They easily handled Oregon in the championship game, which to me was not a surprise whatsoever. Just more battle-tested, better coached. I think with time to prepare, I just think Washington is the team to beat, and I'll probably lean to the over here. I think there'll be points. I think Washington will move the ball easily on Texas. Texas maybe has the better defensive line, but to me, Washington's the better coach team. Texas will score some points, obviously. Sarkisian's a good play caller. I'm not going to say anything bad about him there. But to me, Texas is a little dressed up. They're a little bit fraudulent. They lost to Oklahoma in a game that they should have won. They should have lost to Kansas State and a couple other teams throughout the season. So I'm not overly impressed with them as a whole. I think they have some really good players, and I think they're on the way back, but I just don't think they're quite there yet. So I'll be sticking with my two original picks, Washington and Alabama, so I'll be leaning to the over in both games, which is strange. Not somewhere that I would normally want to be because I imagine there'll be a lot of public money on these overs. So I'm not real wild about that one, but I do really like the sides. I think Alabama and Washington are the two sides there. I think they're the better two teams. Now, Georgia, if they were in these games, then it changes everything. But I think Alabama and Washington both got pretty good draws here, and we'll set up for a championship game in about a week, and I'll be looking forward to that. Hopefully it turns out that way because I have pretty good-sized future tickets on both of them. So I'll be keeping my fingers crossed there, but I think Washington's the better team here in this second game. I just do. I just have all season. If you watch the games, to me, Washington has stuff that the other teams don't have, excluding Alabama and Georgia because they have that they just have a focus level about them that the other teams don't have in close games. So say whatever you want to say, but I think the teams that win the close games are the teams that are going to be good in the biggest games. So we'll go with Washington. We'll go with Alabama there, and we hope to see them in the national championship a week from Monday. All right, we're going to take a break here on Bettor's Last Stand. In our first segment, we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little hockey, touch on a few things basketball related, and then the NFL. It's week 17 already. It's hard to imagine. It's Bettor's Last Stand for the Pine Room Studios. We'll be right back.
Bettor's Last Stand is for entertainment purposes only, but who better to listen to than the guys here at the Pine Room? For more picks you might have missed, follow Bettor's Last Stand and all of Matt's picks on X, formerly Twitter, at BLS_PRP. Because just like General Custer, we're in Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand, show number 67, coming to you from the Pine Room Studios in downtown Wheeling here. Matt, flying solo. I got some stuffed animal buddies here, though, bringing in the Christmas spirit. Coach and Chris, not really sure what they're doing today, but they're not able to attend, but that's all right. We'll keep pressing on. Hopefully those guys will be back joining us here in the near future. Wrapped up the bowl talk there as we head down the stretch here. Virginia Tech and Tulane just kicked off in the first bowl game of the day. All right, a couple things industry-wide here. This were interesting. DK Sports Bettor, that's DraftKings, turned $5 into $489,383 on Sunday when his 14-leg anytime touchdown parlay hit. So never give up out there. $5 to win $489,000. 14 dudes he had all scored touchdowns on Sunday or Saturday, Sunday, and probably a few Monday. Because actually Christian McCaffrey, I think, was his last one that he needed there. So incredible job there. Caesars Bettor bet $220,000 on the Jets -3. They led 27-7 at one point, won the game 30-28. So that one stings a little bit. Couple bad beats. Redskins money line. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the same game that I was just talking about there, where the Caesars Bettor had -3 on the Jets, $220K. Redskins come all the way back, and I was on the Redskins in this game. Money line, I needed them for several different things, and they came all the way back, took the 28-27 lead, and then lost 30-28. So I'd rather they just got blowed out, because they were getting blowed out from the start. But they came back, made it interesting. They did cover for most people, so I'm sure people were happy about that. But if you had Skins money line, that one stings a little bit. But you really had no business. So I hesitate to even call that a bad beat. It was just one of those things that people sometimes will refer to those as bad beats. They're really technically not, but it sucks if you had it anyway. Chiefs money line, same situation. It's not a bad beat, but the Chiefs, their defense did pretty much anything they could do. And the offense was so bad. Aiden O'Connell didn't complete a pass for 3 entire quarters. Like, is that even possible? He finished with 62 yards. It was all in the first quarter. They didn't complete a pass after the first quarter. Won the game 20-14 after the back-to-back defensive scores. So that one sucks any which way you look at it. Monday Night Football, Dogs now 8-1 straight up, 9-0 ATS since Week 10 as they keep rolling along. You had the only straight-up winner on Christmas that didn't come through was the Giants. So you had the Raiders winning on the money line early and the Ravens winning late. And the Giants, maybe Tyrod starts. Maybe they do win the game. But a lot of problems for the Eagles that we'll talk about as we go along. Best ATS teams in the NFL right now: Baltimore, Tampa, Detroit, Miami, all 10-5. Cleveland 9-5-1, along with the Rams 9-5-1. Seattle 8-5-2 against the spread. 4 Circa Survivor guys are left. There's only 4, which is crazy. You got about $9.5 million on the line there as you're down to 4 guys in the Survivor pool there at Circa Sports. So best of luck to them. Prior to Monday's loss to the Raiders, Andy Reid coached teams had gone over their season win total 9 of the last 10 seasons. Oh, and we have a turnover here. Tulane looks like a defensive touchdown. I'm on Virginia Tech in this game, so that's not good. I don't know what happened there, but Virginia Tech guys are yelling at each other. So looks like something that happened in a Chief game. Tulane going crazy here. Oh, boy. Nice job, Virginia Tech. Great start. Teams with the public money coming in, or actually teams that took public money last week. Interesting. Green Bay lost, Buffalo lost, Indy lost, Cincinnati lost. So that's, those are games that Buffalo won the game. They just didn't cover. So, but yeah, you just those are teams ATS. The winners were Detroit, Rams, and Cleveland, who took the most money. So those ones are pretty good. Carolina Panthers have not led in the fourth quarter of the season, not for 1 second. Both their wins were walk-off wins as time expired. Oh, this quarterback, he's got nobody to yell at but himself. He just dropped the ball. Oh, my goodness. This is what I get for back in Virginia Tech. My God, I hate them so bad. But I thought they'd win here. So, all right, let's get it going here. It's the NFL. We'll get ready. Week 17. Start it right off. We got a Saturday game. We get the Browns-Jets on Thursday. This game worries me a little for the Browns. They should win the game, but things are going pretty well for them right now. They're due to stub their toe, but the Jets are so bad. And they're coming off a win, so I don't see that happening again. Lions-Cowboys, Saturday kick, 8:15 ABC. I really like Dallas here. They're laying 6 right now, 53.5. If you can get 6 or under, I'd definitely take a shot with Dallas. Detroit clinched their division. They don't really have anything else to play for at this point. Actually, the number 2 seed is in play, but I don't think it's going to matter here. I think Dallas comes pissed off after their recent bad fortunes against teams that, Dallas just isn't able to win on the road, but they're back home in Jerry World. I think they roll the Lions here. Big, strong play on Dallas here. That might be my best bet of the week. I'm not certain yet on that one. Baltimore and Miami clash for what will probably be who determines the winner of or actually not the winner, but the top seed in the AFC. It'll be the Ravens -3, total 47 in this contest. Ravens off a big win, went out west, kicked the hell out of the 49ers. Sometimes the good teams play each other, and one team's going to play a little better, and that was definitely the Ravens. They came to prove something. They did. Doesn't mean that the 49ers are bad by any means. They're still really good, and they're going to be a contender to win it all, no doubt about it. But the Ravens are good, and they're not getting a lot of respect right now. A lot of people are just saying, well, the 49ers turned it over too many times. Well, you got to remember, at least 2 of those interceptions were caused directly by the defense. Just tip balls in the backfield. Ravens' defensive line, to me, won that game without question. It's the one criticism you could have about the 49ers is they struggle to protect sometimes. And the Ravens, I knew were going to control the defensive line of scrimmage. That part I was pretty confident in going into the game. And I thought that the Ravens did a pretty good job on the other side of limiting the defensive pressure of the 49ers. So I thought the game was won on the line. It was probably closer than the score indicated or whatever, but they got 4 turnovers. Ravens managed the ball pretty well. The Ravens are not a always make you pay kind of offense. They dick around a lot and they leave points out there, and that's the problem with having Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. I'm by no means saying that he's very good at all. And as far as the MVP discussion goes, to me, I think the 49ers, they got 3 candidates there, in my opinion. Brock Purdy, does that 4 interception game eliminate him from the discussion? Probably not. But I would say I didn't really think he was their most valuable player anyway. If you actually break down the words most valuable player, I think it's hard to imagine that McCaffrey, and if you dig deeper, though, Deebo Samuel proves to be the most valuable player on the team. The games he did not play this year, they're 0-3. So that's an issue. McCaffrey played in those games that they lost. And I know they had some other guys banged up. Trent Williams was out at least 1 or 2 of those games, too. Again, their line is still a question mark, tad bit. They don't have him. That really is concerning. But I'm not certain that Deebo Samuel is not the MVP of that team. So, however you want to look at it, I don't think it totally disqualifies Purdy from the MVP talk. But we'll see. Those guys that vote on it don't really know a whole lot anyway, I don't think. So, I'm sure they'll make the wrong selection. Baltimore, to me, they're laying 3 here. I don't love it. This is not a great spot for them. The Dolphins coming off of a big win, so it's not a great spot for them either. So the toughness factor definitely favors Baltimore. It's going to be home. If there's any weather, it's going to favor Baltimore. Kind of like the under a little bit. I think Baltimore will cause Tua some problems here. And if he doesn't have Waddle and Hill at 100%, I think this game will be a little bit lower scoring than would be expected. So I lean Baltimore a touch, but I don't love the spot, and I think the under is the play. Falcons, Bears, 1 o'clock kick. It'll be Bears -3, total 38. It's just week after week the Bears are favored in games. They almost blew it last week to Arizona. I don't know. I think the Falcons are a little better with Heineke. He's just not nearly as bad as Ritter. So I'd lean towards the Falcons, but I don't have a play. I think both those teams are just absolutely horrendous. And I actually need the Bears to win, though, for a Falcons under win total bet that I had on one of our futures, and Falcons to miss the playoffs. So that would be helpful there. If they lose there, I don't think they can win the division, and they will be out of the playoffs. Tennessee and Houston. It'll be Houston minus 3.5, total 42.5. I believe Stroud's going to try to play here, so that would make me tend to lean towards Houston. Tennessee just kills me every week. They kill every time I'm on them. They lose. Every time I'm against them, they win. So I'm on Tennessee or on Houston this week. So Tennessee will probably win this game or at least cover the 3.5. I like the game under a little 42.5 division battle. I think it'll be closely played. Houston needs the game very badly for playoff hopes and division hopes. So you never know what could happen there. So low scoring game in my opinion. Indy and Vegas 1 o'clock kick as well. This will be the Colts hosting the Raiders. Colts minus 3, total 44.5. Colts returned to form last week after their big win over the Steelers, but I expect them to bounce back up this week after the Raiders, who come off a huge win on Christmas against the Chiefs. So I like Indy in the game, and I lean towards the under as the Raiders' defense has been outstanding lately, and I think their offense is atrocious. So I will be going to the under and the Colts in that contest. San Francisco on the road at Washington. It'll be the Redskins catching 13.5, the total 48.5. I never want to lay 13.5 in a game, but 49ers are probably going to be kind of ticked off and probably come out and try to throw it around. But I'll be very careful here because Jacoby Brissett is now playing for Washington, and he's proven that he can move the ball, and he's a very cerebral quarterback, and he's just not going to get beat around like Sam Howell and hold the ball so long. So I like the Redskins a little bit, catching that 2 touchdowns, nearly 2 touchdowns. If it gets to 14, be an automatic play on the Redskins. I think there'll be some points in this game too, so I'll be over 48.5. Carolina and Jacksonville also 1 o'clock kick. It'll be Carolina catching 6.5. That's Jags minus 6.5. Total 37.5 here. Jags have been just so putrid. I look for them to bounce back here, but I don't want to lay any more than 6. So I'll be keeping an eye on that number. If it goes down to 6 or 5.5, I'll be on. Jacksonville stays at 6.5. It'll be a no play for me. Tend to lean towards the under in the game. I'm not sure Carolina will score, but Jacksonville's defense has not been very good. That game's just really tricky for me. The Jags really need it, so I think they figure out a way to win the game. I'm just not sure they can cover the spread. Arizona and the Eagles also 1 o'clock kick. It'll be Philly minus 9.5 at home. Total 47.5. Philly looking a little better on offense last week. Not very good on defense again. Tyrod Taylor moved the ball pretty well against them. I think Kyler Murray will move the ball a little bit on him. I like the over in the game. And if I can get 10 or more with Arizona, I would not hesitate to pull the trigger with that. So I'll be monitoring that number. If it goes to 10, I'll be on Arizona. I'll be on the over 47.5. Another 1 o'clock game. Way too many 1 o'clock games this week. There's like 10. New England and Buffalo. Buffalo minus 12, total 41. New England off the big Christmas night winner, which you heard right here. I gave that one out. It was one of my good wins of the week. New England with a nice money line victory over the Broncos, who are total frauds. I knew New England was due for a good game, and I knew they had the better coach, even though Belichick has not performed like it this year. It'll be the Bills minus 12, as I said, total 41, like the under here. I think this will be a low-scoring game. Bills really need it to win. They don't care about covering the spread. They're not James Franklin. They're not going to try to worry about that. Their running game has gotten going a little bit, which also lends to a clock-running offense, which they didn't used to have. So if James Cook runs the ball, I think New England will run the ball. I think this game will be very low-scoring and a very close game, actually, as New England can beat the Bills, as we've seen before. Rams and Giants, also 1 o'clock kick. It'll be the Rams, 6.5-point favorite on the road, 42. The total here, I like the over in this game. If Tyrod Taylor starts, I think there'll be some points, and I would lean the Giants. If I can get a full touchdown with the Giants, I'll be on them. Rams have been great. You heard it from here, this show, early in the season. I was on the Rams win total over. They were a team that I thought would surprise. I knew they would be better than people were giving them credit for. And they're playing good football right now, and I don't think anybody would want to play them in the NFC playoffs. Last 1 o'clock game of the day on Sunday, it'll be New Orleans. The Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers minus 3, total 42. This is a huge showdown for the NFC South as the Buccaneers try to, if they win this, I think they'll almost certainly win the division. I think it's a tough spot, though, so I think this will be a very close game. I want to lean to the under here, but I really don't have a play on it. Under 42 maybe, because of what's on the line. But Tampa's defense has been a little leaky. New Orleans, good defense at home, not so much on the road. So lean to the under there, but nothing strong. Going out west, the 4 o'clock games, it'll be the Steelers and the Seahawks. Love the Steelers last week. Don't like them here. I think the Seahawks will bounce back strong here and cover this 3.5, total 41. I think the Steelers will have a really difficult time here. Mason Rudolph, 2 weeks in a row. I don't think he can do it. I lean to the under, just a touch here. I think the Steelers' offense will have trouble, doing what they did last week. I expect them to barely score 17 in this game, and I think Seattle wins the game pretty easily. So that is one that might be my best bet. It's between that one and Dallas. So if I'm not giving one out as the best bet, I like the other one quite a bit. So Seahawks and Dallas are my two favorite bets of the week. Cincinnati at Kansas City. Cincinnati coming off a humiliating defeat to the Steelers. Kansas City coming off an even more humiliating Christmas Day defeat to the Raiders. It'll be Chiefs -7.5, total 45. Like the under in this game. I think the Chiefs defense will really slow down Browning and the Bengal offense. I would lean Chiefs on the money line here, but I mean, I'm not going to bet that. It's -370, 7.5. I can't bet the Chiefs currently covering these big numbers. They're just not. The power ratings guys for the odds makers have not done a very good job of adjusting this. The Chiefs are a serious liability currently on offense, and I know you're playing off back games and back data, but right now their current form, I don't see them even breaking out to where they're going to be scoring like 30s, high 30s in games. I just don't. They have too many broken parts right now, and they're not improving at all. So that's a real concern. Other than Rashee Rice, they have not had anybody improve in the pass catching department. Travis Kelce looks like he's about finished. Like, I never would have imagined that. That's what women can do, suck the life right out of you. But, yeah, it's not looking good for them. Never count Mahomes out, but I can't lay 7.5, so I'll be going under. And if you wanted to mix that up, match it up with a Chief money line, put that in a parlay, get a little better price on it against a plus money. I think that might be the way to go there. Chargers and Broncos, 425 kick. It'll be Denver -5.5, total 38.5. It's down to 3.5 now, as I believe Denver's benching Russell Wilson, which is weird to me. It's basically like, no, we don't even care about winning. Jarrett Stidham's going to start. I'm not certain. The big genius, Sean Payton, I'm really not sure what he's doing right there. I get it. Russell Wilson's frustrating to coach. He's frustrating to watch. But come on. Sean Payton's a guy that likes to blame everybody but himself, and he always has been like that. So I don't know that this makes a big difference at all. I think Denver's season's over. I think they got hot there for a little while, improved a touch, but they've been frauds all season, and it's showing. Chargers, nothing to play for at all for them. Except some pride. They gutted their administration. Their coach is gone. They're down to backup quarterbacks. A lot of backup guys will be in this game, but I think the Chargers will have a motivation here. I like the Chargers when they're getting to 5.5. Probably still like them even at the 3.5. I didn't think Denver should be favored by that many points to begin with, so I'll be leaning Chargers, but don't love it. And then the night game, final Sunday night game of the season, Green Bay and Minnesota. Minnesota -2, total 45.5. I don't know where to begin here. Both of these teams have a lot of problems. The Vikings just turned the ball over in just outrageous amount of times. The Packers are just so poorly coached. Every time you think that they're good, they suck. Man, I guess under is the only thing I can lean on here. I think this is an important game for both these teams. Both of them still clinging to playoff hopes. I don't know how, but they're going to need a lot of help. So I think this is a low-scoring game. But turnovers can make that go right out the window if you get a defensive score. Jair Alexander, the best corner for Green Bay, has just been suspended for a game, so that could play a role as well. I mean, Green Bay, I think Jordan Love may be able to match up okay against Minnesota's defense, because I think they play a lot of man coverage. It seemed like he's done better against that, and it's indoors. He's weirdly enough, for a guy that plays at Lambeau Field, he struggled in a couple of them outdoor games. I don't know if his weather conditions, windy or whatever, but I hate to say it, I slightly lean the Packers because I don't like them and I don't think they're good at all. But Nick Mullins turns it over so many times for Minnesota. But I'm going to be going with the under 45.5. I think that's the safest bet on the card. And that concludes Week 17 of the NFL as we get down to the playoff push here. It's coming down to the wire. We have the playoff standings as of now, which is pretty interesting if you look at it. Now, you don't know how this is always going to turn out, but it's right now the playoff picture of the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens would be number 1 seed. Your 2 versus 7 game would be the Colts at the Dolphins. The 3-6 would be Chiefs, Bills. 4-5 Jacksonville, Cleveland. So in those games, I would lean. Miami would definitely win that game against the Colts at home. Kansas City, Buffalo. I mean, right now you got to almost pick Buffalo in that game. They've proven they can go there and win. And they probably can, and I really like the Browns. So I would have 2 road teams in the first week of the AFC playoffs. I think the Browns should be favored in the game against Jacksonville, regardless of health or anything. The Browns are just a better overall team than the Jags are at this point. In the NFC, 49ers still holding on to that number 1 seed. I believe they'll still get that. The 2-7 game, it'll be Philly hosting Seattle. Detroit, the 3 seed, hosting the Rams at 6 seed. And then the 4-5 game, Tampa and Dallas. Philly will probably beat Seattle, but I think that game will be pretty tight, and the number will matter a lot in that game. And I tell you what, I wouldn't doubt it. Stafford goes back home and beats the Lions. I think the Rams are definitely lively there. If they're catching more than a field goal there, that'll be an absolute play for me if these end up being the matchups. And then Tampa, Dallas. Dallas should be able to still win that game despite their deficiencies. Prescott on the road, McCarthy just being a buffoon. But I think it'll be a little closer than people think. Be very curious to see what that number will be. Dallas might be laying around a touchdown in that game, so that would definitely give you a little incentive for Tampa to battle. But Mayfield against a pass rush like Dallas has could be troublesome. So we'll monitor. We'll see what happens. If those end up being the matchups, they should be pretty intriguing. You're going to have some live road teams, that's for sure, one way or another. A couple things, NHL data, let's go through them here really quickly. Yes, goal in the first 10 minutes. Minnesota 23-8, Chicago 23-8. The Blues 23-9, Ottawa 20-8. Last 10, St. Louis 8-1, Chicago 8-2, Tampa, actually St. Louis is 9-1, Chicago 8-2, Tampa 7-3, Dallas again 10-0. So they kept 10-0 running from last week. Goal in the first 10, no. Here we go. Boston 19-11, Winnipeg 19-12. Boston on a 9-1 no goal in the first 10 minutes run as well. First period overs and unders. Chicago 22-9 to the over. Edmonton 21-9 to the over. Ottawa 19-9 to the over. Last 10 first periods over 1.5. Dallas 10-0. If you can believe that. And you got a few 7-3 teams here. The Blackhawks, the Senators, the Blues, the Canucks, the Avalanche, all 7-3 in their last 10 first periods over. The unders, last 10, Boston and Washington, each 8-2. Huge NHL card tonight, which won't do anybody any good. Christmas Day games in basketball, not too bad. Sam was 4-1 on his props, so definitely kudos to him. He made us a profitable Christmas for a lot of people. College basketball getting in full swing again this weekend. We'll get some conference play started back up. There hasn't been any games here over the break. They get back going here tonight with a couple of small mid-major games. But we'll be focusing a lot more in on college basketball in the coming weeks as we get into conference play. Start to go through some teams that we think are lively. If you missed any of that stuff, we talked about it plenty of times on BLS. Gave you some opinions on teams that I really liked early in the season that I thought could be dangerous down the stretch. Go back, check them out at the Pine Room Studios on YouTube and all the podcasting platforms. BLS_PRP is our Twitter or X. You can find out all the picks that we have, all of our late-minute adjustments, all of our early before the show release type games. We'll have them all on there at the Pine Room Studios and BLS_PRP. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the man from Upper St. Clair's. He's coming off a 4-1 NBA prop performance, and he was up nearly 8 units last week. So hopefully you got on board with Sam's plays and had as good a week as most of us in the Pine Room did. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. But I want to remind everybody, the show is sponsored by our friends at IC Cab, serving the Ohio Valley for all your transportation needs. 304-232-1313, the number to call. IC Cab app, download it now. You're going to want that on New Year's Eve, that's for sure. You don't want to be messing around out on the road, not just because of your own self, but because of all the other idiots that will be out there. So let IC Cab get you to and from as safe as possible. IC Cab always working. We had Phil on our Christmas special show on Friday. He spent a half an hour with us talking about all things IC Cab related, and we really appreciate everything that he's done for us. It's been a great partnership, and we really enjoy it. So I've used IC Cab many times, and will continue to use them. They are as good as it gets. So give them a call today or download that app, 304-232-1313, or download the app. Can't go wrong with it. All right, we're going to take a break. Bettor's Last Stand. Be back with Sam after this. It's Bettor's Last Stand, show 67 for the Pine Room Studios on Christmas in between New Year's week here. We'll be right back.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in. Bettor's Last Stand, show number 67, as we head into the meat of the bowl game season right here. We're coming off a strong Christmas weekend, and the man who's responsible for that, a 4-1 performance on Christmas Day with those NBA player props. Great stuff, Sam. Welcome back to the show as always. Hope you had a great Christmas. I'm sure you had a pretty good one with a nice performance in those NBA props.
Yeah, it was good. Christmas Day treated me well. 4-1. It can't all be perfect, Matt.
Right.
You know how it goes. Dame
Damian
too
Lillard.
short. That's all right. Not a bad Christmas Day for him, but yeah. I mean, holidays have been well. They've been good for you.
Yes, not bad at all. Been busy and working a lot, as I know you are too. So it's tough to find time to get done what you want to get done. But yep, I guess getting these sporting events on throughout the day and having something on Christmas Day was nice. It was a pretty strong day, I guess. Unless you're a Kansas City Chief bettor, then that was not pretty. Thoughts about Christmas Day NFL?
Christmas Day NFL, I thought it was great. It was honestly almost like a sports overload. It was just sports. Basketball was everywhere. Football was everywhere, so I don't have any complaints. I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to tune into. But the one thing I took away from the Christmas Day football was the Chiefs need help. They need help. These two guys can't get it done. They're not Brady and Gronk. They need some serious help. They need one more guy. I don't know how you'd even get him. It's a little too late, but that's what I took away from the main football on Christmas Sunday.
Yeah, no question. They look disorganized. They're missing a lot. I don't know. Kelsey just looks off. He looks frustrated. He's he's gonna take a lot of criticism, as with the Taylor Swift stuff. Just all people want to talk about. He's not looked himself. The wide receivers, they're still lining up off sides. They haven't learned or improved at all. The Rice kid has been their only guy that's improved at all this season. Guys like Sky Moore, they're not even existed. It's just terrible. I know that they thought that they could just plug guys in, but whoever's developing their wide receivers has obviously not done a very good job, or they just missed on these draft picks, because they have not gotten any better, even in the slightest, in 2 years. Yeah,
and I've heard it a couple times. They say Eric Bieniemy, he's gone. He's the only one that held him accountable all the time. And you hear that in the beginning. It's like, all right, whatever. That's too easy of a reason for them to be this bad. But you know what? Maybe that's all it is, man.
Maybe it is. Maybe that is. Maybe that was that big of a deal. But you know what? Bieniemy's probably going to be without a job here soon anyway, because the Skins, I'm sure, are going to clean house. If I'm Andy Reid, maybe it is. If it's that simple, I'm going to take a shot. I'm getting rid of Matt Nagy. I'm bringing him right back. No questions asked, because something's missing on the team. And you hate to ever even bet against Mahomes, as far as when it matters. But these numbers are huge. They're laying 7.5 again this week. They're laying 10.5. I didn't think that they would cover 10.5, even if they played a good game. And then those back-to-back defensive scores, and the Raiders' offense did absolutely nothing, and they didn't have to.
Yeah, they were terrible. Mahomes with the 14 picks, it's just that weird. Yeah. They got a weird vibe around them. It reminds me, honestly, of a little bit of a Chase Elliott NASCAR season.
Right. Could never get out of their own way the whole season.
Never.
Yep.
Whole season.
Yeah, they'll be back to the drawing board, but I definitely wouldn't expect them to be down for long with him under center, or I guess rarely under center, in the shotgun, however you want to look at it. You can't even use that reference to quarterbacks anymore, because most of the time they're never under center.
Never.
I thought the Eagles were a little bit better, but I think Tyrod Taylor, if he starts that game, your boy DeVito finally gets set down, then I think that maybe the Giants would have had a shot of winning.
Yeah, they would have. Tyrod looked pretty good. He missed a couple throws. I think he just wasn't warmed up enough. That one throw to Waller, he was too short.
A little rusty, because that was going to be a touchdown.
But it's every time I see Tyrod get in on a different team, I start a mental clock of when's he getting injured. Right. That's all he does is he gets his opportunity and he gets injured, or his lung gets punctured, or whatever his issue is.
I would say this week there's a good shot he gets hurt against the Rams.
Right, so DeVito's back, kissing cheeks.
Yeah. So, but the Eagles, they don't. Again, talking about the Chiefs not looking right, the Eagles don't look right either. I'm not saying they're bad, but if they're not going to outscore teams, they're in trouble because their defense cannot get the stops that they once were able to get.
Right. Their offense, yeah, it's not the question. I guess Jalen Hurts is probably a little hurt in the beginning of the season, but you're right. Their defense is huge, and it's not playing well. They automatically give up points almost always now.
Yeah.
They didn't the last couple of years. Everybody was getting sacks. So,
yeah,
if it's Dallas's year, it's Dallas's year. This is the year.
Well, and Dallas has their own issues because they still can't win road games. So you get the last 2 weeks, obviously Christmas Eve, I think that was against the Dolphins. Just not an awful performance. I mean, Prescott actually led a good drive and got them to take the lead. But, again, they couldn't get the stop that they needed to when they needed to, and it's so typical. It's like if all the playoff games could be played in Dallas, I'd say that they're live. But the fact they got to go on the road, I'm not a believer in them yet. And on the other Christmas night game, 49ers, they didn't play very well. Purdy turned it over too many times, but the Ravens played very good in that game. But I wouldn't rate the 49ers off. I still, to me, think they're probably the best team in the NFC. What about you?
Yeah, they're the best. I mean, if the Ravens do not have Lamar Jackson, they cannot go anywhere.
Yeah,
it's point blank period. The 49ers can lose Purdy. They could put in Darnold, and they realistically should be fine.
And Darnold played okay when he got in there. He turned it over late, but it's he wasn't awful, and you could see that maybe. And again, I'm not saying Purdy is out of the MVP conversation just because of one bad game. 2 of those interceptions were not very good. The other 2 kind of were just bad luck, great plays by the Ravens guys. But I'm not certain that Deebo Samuel might not be the most important player on that team. The games that he was out this year, they actually lost them all. McCaffrey, obviously, you could make the argument is the most valuable player on any team he's on, but maybe Deebo and McCaffrey have a little bit more to do with maybe the MVP vote before it ends. Who do you think ends up coming out on top?
Of the MVP vote?
Yeah.
Well, I have it up right here. I mean, Jackson's the favorite, obviously.
Yeah, that's not right.
It isn't right. You know what's crazy is I also look at a team like the Dolphins. Like, if the Dolphins lost Tua,
oh yeah,
what would happen to them? But the MVP is not, like they say, his value. Well,
right.
Is his value equivalent to this, like, statistical? If you put up the best stats, but you can be taken away.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like they're two different things.
Yeah, no, I know. No doubt about it. And if you just go through games and you just look at, like, okay, this team lost when this player wasn't there, does that mean more to you or whatever? If you think there's players that are easily replaced, I mean, it's all, I guess it's really subjective when you look at it, depending on your angle. But, I mean, you can make the case Tyreek Hill's the MVP. The Dolphins don't seem to click without him. But you know what will happen? If the Dolphins were to somehow beat the Ravens this week, then Tua will probably be one of the favorites for the MVP. And I'm not certain he is, but I don't know. I can't argue it. And I thought Lamar Jackson just managed the game okay on Sunday. Or Monday night. I didn't think he was, like, outstanding. Obviously, they need him to be able to win the games, but their defense kind of set the table for most of the points they scored.
Yeah, their defense stopped the 49ers offense. That's the story that's not really being talked about. But no. I also look at, like, these MVP odds, like Josh Allen's a plus 1,200. If Josh Allen leads the Bills to the playoffs, he could be the MVP because they were terrible.
I think the Bills maybe are the worst team if they would lose him. Like, they would have the biggest drop-off next to the Chiefs with Mahomes. I mean, they might win 2 games without him. But the Bills, to me, of the teams who are starting to get into contention now, Josh Allen, I know people were saying, oh, he didn't do shit last week or whatever. Like, I'm like, well, if you just go down to the actual words, most valuable player, and you take him off of their team, how many games do you think that the Bills could possibly win?
That's what I mean. It's a small number.
Yes. And it doesn't matter. He does so many other things. Even if he's not passing, he can still run the ball. He's like having not a Christian McCaffrey level running back, but the next best thing in your backfield already. So I don't know. And I feel like he'll do anything he can do to be sure the team wins. I don't think he cares about stats, which is nice to see. But I don't know. This thing changes so much. It's amazing. Purdy was a minus money favorite last week, and then he just falls after one performance. But
he's plus 1,200 right here.
So. That's silly. But anyway, we don't need to waste any more time talking about it because they'll mess it up. They'll get it wrong. Whoever votes on it will get it wrong as always, probably. So All right, so let's go into this week's NFL a little bit. Anything standing out on your radar? Any player props you like? Anytime touchdown?
Let's see. Yeah. I got actually one. I can't even believe I'm going to this well. I'm going to the Cleveland Browns well, and I'll tell you why. We got two little games within the games. We got two revenge games coming up. We got Joe Flacco over 1.5 touchdowns as plus 175, the former Jet.
Love it.
And here's one in a name that you rarely think of this guy throughout the season. Elijah Moore. He's plus 370. It's a former. He's not playing well. He barely plays.
Right.
But weird things happen in sports. Teams do weird things. They play people more. When they play their former teams. He's a plus 370 anytime touchdown. I love that. If you got a couple bucks to sprinkle it on that.
Yes.
All right. So now we're getting to this nitty gritty here. The Buffalo Bills. All right. I believe they play New England. I'm not certain. So there's Dalton Kincaid is a plus 230. Dawson Knox is a plus 420. And my guy, he's like my Alec Pierce for the Bills. Gabe Davis is a plus 200. I think any of those guys can score. New England stinks. They're bad. They're really, really bad. I love all of those because, like you said, I think the Bills are a team that people aren't talking about, and they're going to come these last couple of weeks with some serious heat.
Oh yeah. I think the Bills, they're in a must-win game. They'll be fully focused for this one.
Then we head to the Baltimore-Miami game. Rashad Bateman is a plus 400. I think that there's too many options for the Dolphins to worry about for the Ravens offense, and Bateman will just kind of be left alone, and he'll score. And then, man, the Giants stink. I love seeing DeVito benched. I love seeing that Sean Stellato not kissing anybody on TV.
Yeah.
Tutu Atwell is a plus 333, and Higbee's a plus 280 anytime touchdowns. We got people scoring this weekend, Matt.
I like it. I like it a lot. And those are all teams that Ravens need the game, obviously, for the number 1 seed. The Rams, in a pretty good playoff spot here, and have been really, really playing well. And Buffalo's been playing really well. So I agree. I think all these guys definitely live. Love the Flacco angles in the Moore angle in the Browns-Jets game on Thursday.
Joe Flacco's the hottest QB in the league.
Yeah, and Flacco lucked out that the Jets didn't want him back. He's in a better spot now.
Shocker.
A better team.
Idiots.
No question about it. All right, let's go back to Christmas Day NBA. Obviously, you were 4-1. You did awesome. Just wonderful time. Damian Lillard, though, was the guy that let you down. What were your thoughts about the games overall?
I thought they were good. I love the matchups. I don't get they played 2 days before the Knicks and Bucks did, which I think that's kind of stupid. It kind of takes away the allure of the Christmas Day. Right.
Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't like that, but I thought the matchups were good. I thought they could have put, better teams together to play each other. Like, Butler and Embiid not playing wasn't great.
Right.
I loved it. I got so lucky. I barely won these bets. Like Tatum had 8 rebounds. Tobias Harris had 7 rebounds.
Right.
The Luka double-double.
Tatum was under by a half. Yeah.
Right. The Luka double-double was the only one that was signed, sealed, and delivered.
Right. Which, if he doesn't get hurt most of the time, and he's pushing a triple-double. So
I was shocked that his number was that good for a double-double. 280?
Yeah. Yeah, so you take that whenever you can get it. And, so Damian Lillard, you're the only one that kind of let you down. How many assists short did he end up falling? I forget.
He had 32 and 8. He needed 2 more.
He needed 2 more. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn him. But, hey, great performance. I told the folks on here earlier, I round robin parlayed all those, and so it turned out to be a nice day for me. I had some good winners there, so thank you for that. I tell you, they probably missed out on not having the Clippers on because they're
hot
well right now.
They're hot, man. And you know what? We talked about it last week. They're really starting to find some mojo and some groove together. And man, if they could get hot and not get hurt, if any of those guys get hurt, that's the issue.
Changes everything, right? And then you got the Suns a mess. Memphis showing some signs. We talked. Jaw was making his debut last week when we talked, and now he's playing pretty well. They had an overtime win last night. They're pretty hot right now. Memphis could be a dark horse at a huge price to maybe make it into the playoffs right now.
Yeah, it's crazy what happens when you get one player back.
Yeah,
I mean, just one fucking player. I mean, in crunch time, they had nobody without Jaw.
Yeah,
nobody. Now that they have him,
I think they're getting Marcus Smart back here soon too. So
I mean, they're 10-19. There's plenty Plenty of games left.
Oh, yeah, tons of time. And then wrapping with the NBA, will the Pistons win again this year? Well, actually,
Matt,
before it turns 2024, they probably won't.
They won't. They won't win. They were talking on ESPN. I caught it this morning. Will the Detroit Lions have more wins than the Pistons? And I thought, yeah, they will.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
really, really will.
Right now, I think their win total, they got it around 9.5. I'm not sure I could bet
Too
that
high.
over.
I'd give it to maybe 7.
Yeah. That's pretty sad because they're not a team that's really supposed to be in rebuilding form right now. Like they spent a ton of money on a coach. They've had 2 top 5 draft picks the last 2 years who are good. And I don't know if they're just their chemistry or their depth or whatever it is, but I think the Lions are definitely going to have more wins than them, which is sad to say.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine 7 wins? The Warriors that one year went 73 and 9.
Right.
They're going to go 9. They could go 10 and 72, Matt.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. I know we were thinking that the A's were going to have like that kind of a season in baseball, but
Yeah, they got hot though.
They had a little run of where they were actually being able to win a few games, but I'm not certain that the Pistons will be able to do that here. It's going to be something to monitor and watch as we move along. And it was nice to see LeBron lose on Christmas Day. I enjoyed that quite a bit after he made his couple of demonstrative fall down and flail on the ground, and then his
You know what?
actions
It's
after
funny
he
you
blocked
said
the
that.
shot.
I text my buddy Christmas Day. I said LeBron is putting on a A+ performance on Christmas Day.
He's incredible. Yeah, what an actor.
I know.
Yeah.
What an actor. You're
Yeah.
right.
Well, we'll see when they decide they want to play again. I'm glad they enjoyed their mid-season tournament victory and put that banner up in the rafters.
Yeah, that's
Which,
nice.
what a storied franchise. I'm glad they finally got a real title. The mid-season.
So embarrassing.
Tournament. Yeah,
So
quite embarrassing. All right, bowl game-wise, Virginia Tech and Tulane cranking up right now. Mountaineers play this afternoon. What do you think about that game?
I can't. Neil Brown's getting crushed with that Mayo at the end. WVU's
I
winning.
agree. I think they kill them.
I think they're winning. I think North Carolina has way too many people out.
I agree. Totally.
I don't get bowl season at all. I don't get Liberty playing Oregon. I don't get a 6-6 Virginia Tech playing 11-2 Tulane. None of it makes sense to me.
No, it really doesn't. And the stuff's, unless you're wagering on it, it is almost impossible to watch. These games are just bad. Getting a little bit better though on the weekend. Thoughts on the 2 playoff games on Monday? The Alabama, Michigan, and Texas, Washington.
It's tough. I want Alabama to win.
Yeah, me too.
And I think they can. I really think they can. I think Nick Saban is just leaps and bounds ahead of these coaches that are left. I really do.
Yeah, you give him several weeks to prepare. I agree. I think, and I don't think Harbaugh's a bad coach by any means. I just think Michigan really lacks weapons on offense and just explosive plays on offense. So I think that'll hurt them. And then I think Washington's coach is really, really good too, and he's got them just playing very well. I know Texas has great offense, but I don't know. I'm hopeful for Alabama and Washington in the final. That would be the most beneficial for me.
Yeah, I agree too. I don't want to see Texas in there.
Yeah,
because it's not the same to me. It's not Vince Young against Matt Leinart. It's not all this on the line.
One of the greatest games ever. Yeah,
ever.
I agree. I think Texas is on their way back. I just don't think they're quite there yet. So hopeful that Washington can get it done. Any other games this weekend? How about Penn State, James Franklin? I think he'll have a shot of beating Ole Miss. He does pretty good in these bowl games, even though he can't win any big regular season game ever.
He's on my coach list with PJ Fleck. He can.
Fleck
got lucky
yesterday.
I know he did.
PJ.
He did. They beat the Bowling Green. Man, he's just. God, I hate James Franklin, Matt. I really do.
Yeah, he's not a very likable dude. How about Notre Dame and Oregon State? Any opinion on that game?
Oregon State had like a pretty low key, not bad season.
Yeah, but their coach left, their quarterback's transferring, so that worries me. But Notre Dame's quarterback ain't playing either, so it's hard to say. These games with all these opt-outs, it's impossible to guess.
They should have a bowl game with all the transfer portal players.
Yeah, they should
be
be
fucking sweet.
Showcasing for their new spots. You're right. That's
they
probably
should.
a good idea. I'm sure that would get a lot of attention.
It would. It really would. We might have just struck gold, Matt.
How about the last one I'll ask you about, Missouri and Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl? Any thoughts on that one?
That one's weird to me because I didn't understand the players are out getting ready for the draft portal or whatever. But I'm looking at a +3 for Missouri.
Yeah.
That to me that's weird.
Yeah, well, it's
Because I don't
weird
think
because
Missouri's that good, are they? I know they had a better year. But
They had a really good year, and I think the thing that is you're thinking Ohio State, obviously they're starting another quarterback that they haven't used. Who knows if the receivers are playing? Some say they will, some say they won't. But Missouri, they say this is the biggest game in their program's history. The game opened 6.5, Ohio State, then went down to 1, then went back to 3. So it's hard. It basically comes down to who you think is going to play in the game. Because if Ohio State has, Harrison or any of those guys, because he hasn't actually said he's not playing, I don't think. So I know that we anticipated he wouldn't play, but I don't know. And then Missouri, again, the motivation, biggest game in program history. Will Ohio State even care?
Right. Isn't that embarrassing?
Yeah, it is. It just shows you, why even go into these games if your team isn't going to play? But I don't know. Anything else? Bowl, NBA, NHL?
Ooh, you're going to love this. You're going to love this here. I got 2 NHL futures.
Woo, let's go.
So here, we're going with the MVP vote.
Oh, yeah.
To me, it's just if it's the same argument we just had with football, Matt. If this player is not on this team, they are garbage. Sidney Crosby.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Plus 9,190 to win the MVP. There's a lot of hockey left. And a lot of the other players above him, they have way more options on their team for if these guys go out, their value isn't as great as that number seems. Like Crosby's gone, the Penguins are garbage. They're absolute garbage. And I think that number it's a shameful number.
No, I agree with you. I've heard some people make a case for that, and I just don't understand why he doesn't get more love right now. I mean, he's still playing at a really high level, and as you said, if they don't have him, they're really, really up against it. And his two-way game is still exceptional, even for his age. So yeah, I agree. I think people ought to start watching the games a little bit more. When they watch the Penguins every night like we do, they'll realize this dude is incredibly important. Obviously, he's been since he got there, but now even more because they just don't have the depth they once had. Even though they tried to rebuild it, power play wise, he's brought him alive a little bit. I mean, he's doing everything that you can ask of him. So yeah, I agree. I think it's a great price. Would love to see him get some momentum and traction on that.
Yeah, and then this next one, I was getting a little crazy because it's not that the Pens aren't winning the Cup. I don't think the Bruins win the Cup. I don't think the Leafs win the Cup.
Right.
Who do I think wins the Cup? The L.A. Kings.
Love it. I've given them out as a team I really like on here a couple of times. Love that pick. I think they're dangerous. You look at what they have in the center ice position. They have the Sidney Crosby of the Western Conference, maybe not quite as good, but Anze Kopitar is one of the best two-way centers in the world still. And he knows how to win, and I love the Kings. I think they have a really, really good shot of making a run in the West. I agree.
That's my pick to win the Cup right now is the LA Kings plus 1,300. Great number.
Love it. Love both of those. Very, very, very good picks. So, all right, Sammy, well, thank you as always. Best of luck to you this weekend. Let me know if any other picks should arise, anything else you like. We post them on the Twitter page as we did with the NBA picks. Have yourself a wonderful new year. Have a good weekend, and we will see you back here next week, buddy.
Yes, sir, Matt. It was great talking to you. Have a great new year to you as well. Listeners, you guys have a great new year, and go Bucks.
All right. Can't wait till racing comes, buddy.
Yes,
We're
sir.
getting closer. One
Yes,
week
sir.
closer. All right. Have a good week, Sam. Talk to you next
Later.
week. All right. That'll do it for us here. Bettor's Last Stand, episode number 67 from the Pine Room Studios here in downtown Wheeling. Again, thanks to Sam for joining us. 4-1 in NBA last week. Hopefully you can stay hot. Love those picks on Sidney Crosby and the Kings. That'll do it for us here on BLS from the studio here. It's Matt saying so long. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Enjoy your time with your family and friends. Wheeling Nailers in action this weekend if you want to get out to a game Saturday and Sunday. Highly anticipated games against Hampton Roads, I believe. Not Hampton Roads. Same area, Norfolk Admirals. Norfolk Admirals threw me a curveball in my brain there for a second. Norfolk Admirals will be in town for 2 on New Year's Eve and actually the 30th as well. So the 30th and 31st, you got a 7 o'clock, 7:10 puck drop on Saturday, 6:10 on New Year's Eve. That is Sunday night, so it'll get you in and out before your parties or whatever begins. I'm sure you could make a nice night of it. Go to the game at 6, go over to River City for a nice New Year's Eve party, and then get that IC cab waiting on you right outside. They'll bring you right up to West Banco Arena and pick you right up at River City. So highly recommend that. Should be a really nice weekend. So get out and support the Nailers are having a really good season right now. They're in a really good division, and these are two games that they should have a good chance of winning, although Norfolk is improved quite a bit from last year. So anyway, that'll do it for us here in the Pine Room studio. We'll see you out at the Nailers game this weekend if you're out and about. If not, have a safe and happy New Year. Best of luck in your bets, and be sure and follow us all over social media, BLS_PRP and at the Pine Room Studios across the multiple platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, all the places where you listen to your podcasts. That'll do it for us. We will be back here next week talking about the college football playoff championship game, among many other things. It's Bettor's Last Stand saying so long this week and Happy New Year. We'll see you next week.